What up, guys? This is Guido, the boss at Bout's Most Wanted Scammers. I'm going to be touching up or dissecting a case that happened about a few weeks ago in December, and this case is I'll name this case the Cory versus Mark incident. The Cory versus Mark incident. Now, before we get down and dirty, if you're watching this on YouTube and if you're not a member of Bell's Most Wanted Scammers, go to Facebook, type in Bell's Most Wanted Scammers in the search bar. Fill out all the questions, send a request, and update yourselves on yesterday's and today's Bell Scammers. So, Cory versus Mark incident. Let's dissect this thing. So basically, Cory is an admin for Mid-Card Mayhem Championship bouts, and what they do over there, they're mainly known for raffling belts, and they raffle shop-made belts. See, I stand corrected on that. So they don't do bootlegs, apparently. They do shop-made belts. Now, we all know that when it comes down to raffling Facebook, obviously it's something that we ain't supposed to do. But me personally, I don't give a damn about it. I've attended a couple of raffles in different other groups, so I don't mind that. That's not a big deal, and that's all fine and dandy by me. So, but I'm gonna read you guys on what played out and what happened. Okay, this is a summary on the situation. Then after this, I'm gonna go to full details as far as for what Mark told me on screenshots and what Cory told me on screenshots. This video is really mainly for the guys out there that were pretty vocal at Bout's Most Wanted Scammers when Cory made the list. There was only about four guys, that maybe five guys, that had a problem with it, and they were pretty vocal on it. But this video is really made for those of you that believe that Cory is innocent. This is for you guys. And if you guys are watching this and you're not a member of Bout's Most Wanted Scammers, it's going to be hard for you guys to understand, you know, how things played out. There was also a voting system during the process and all that. But I'm going to go through all that in this video anyway. So let's get started. A summary. Here we go. Admin of the Mid-Card Mayhem Championship belts, Cory, due to frustration, decided to cut off a customer by keeping the customer's layaway funds of $1,300 plus $450 of credit, which is total of $1,750 for a relettered U.S. belt. Sell the items he held for the customer and keep the sale funds when a customer missed payments, whatever amount, every 2 weeks that he was able to give for several months. Okay, so basically Cory has had enough of Mark basically missing payments when he was supposed to pay them, and has gone through several months that way. So Cory, and even if I put myself in that situation on that part, I would be pissed off, and I would be also frustrated as well. And I would also do the same as far as for cutting off the customer, meaning that Mark will not be able to keep on adding belts onto the balance. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So now, the customer never received the items that he paid towards, including the prizes from several raffles that he won. Okay, so keep that in mind, that even though the customer has so far given $1,750 to Cory, the customer has not received an item from the amount that he has already paid. and he has not received items from the raffles that he has won. So all the items that he's paid and the raffle winnings, Cory is keeping them. Okay, he's keeping them. There was no prior arrangement for Cory to keep the customer's funds and property he paid towards if the customer were to be missing payments. So there was no arrangements to say, Mark, if you miss a certain amount of payments, I'm going to keep your layaway money, your deposit, $17.50, and I'm going to keep your belts, the ones that you won from the raffle. There was no agreement to that. Okay? No agreement to that. So, all right. So here we go. Let's see. Cory knowingly conducted business with the customer, Mark, who has had an unethical business practices with others. So, in other words, he's done business with Mark knowing that Mark has fucked up on other people, on other business transactions. He decided to do business with him anyway, knowing that. Okay? On the Mid-Card Mayhem Championship out page, Cory made a video and did not include that the customer has paid a total of $17.50 and that Cory has never shipped items. So, and that Cory has never shipped items. So, let's see here. Cory eventually blocked the customer. Upon my investigation, Cory ignored and refused to answer questions and partially cooperated. You will see that in the screenshots. Cory referred me to talk to his moderator, who ignored any questions that I asked. So basically, Cory said, talk to my moderator. Talk to him. He knows what's going on. And the moderator never answered me back, said delivered, and he just completely ignored the situation. So, all right. The moderator name is Charles Tuel, Tuel, whatever. Moderator of that about page. So I'm going to start off with Mark Lonsdale, his part of his side of the story. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what he sent me, and then I'm going to read it after, because I cannot show you and read at the same time, because the way that I have this camera set up, I don't know. Let's see, I could show you there. Okay, so it says here, long story short, this is Mark talking to me. Long story short, I had a debt with this guy for 5 belts and some side plates and some spots in a raffle because he does raffles. So basically now he wants to cancel the debt and not refund me the money that I've already paid for, which is $1,300 plus, or the belts that I had already won in a raffle with the spots that I had already paid off. Do you think that is right, or should he send me a refund or the belts? Meaning send him the belts. So I said, you paid $1,300 plus, and he hasn't sent anything to you. He says yes, and I put why, and he says, I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, so he says, because I was paying off the debt I owed, because the original debt was like $3,600 almost, but now I owe $1,800, and he wants to close the debt and cancel it, and he wants to keep everything. So I wrote back, ouch. I said, so the bottom line is that you owe $1,800. He goes, yes. Yeah, for the side plates and the previous spots I had gotten in previous raffles I was in before I won the belts. So I said, so So his plan is to basically keep the money you paid towards your debt, which is the 1,300 plus, send nothing, and you don't owe him anything anymore. He writes, yeah. So here's the other. I put on the raffles. Did you win some and lose some? He goes, on the previous raffles, before I won the belts, I lost those raffles. And I said, was there an agreement on a payment plan? He says, yes. There was also an agreement on if I had bought any more spots for the raffles, I would have to pay up front. So it wasn't added to the debt. And so I did. So I paid for those spots up front. And with those spots, I won those belts. So technically, wouldn't that mean those belts are paid off? So here's with this situation here. Here's where it gets a little not too confusing. So remember, he has the $1,800 balance that he owes Cory. Now, what he's saying here is that he made a deal with Cory after when he made a deal with Cory and says, you know what? Can I pay you money towards raffles on the side of the $1,800 balance? So meaning that he will pay Cory money for raffle entries, and Cory apparently agreed to say, yes, we can do that. So what he did was he went ahead and sent him monies to buy first slots in the raffles. Remember, this is on the side. This has nothing to do with the $1,800. Okay, so keep that in mind. He sent Cory money, and of course he won some and lost some. Now the money that he lost on the raffles goes to Cory's pocket, does not go to or towards the 1,800 debt balance, because Mark is paying him the money, so it's not going towards the balance owed. So this is a side deal from the $1,800 balance owed. And then he won belts on that raffle from the side deal. So after when he won those raffles, he's asking, since I won those raffles, shouldn't he, meaning Cory, send the winnings to me, since it has nothing to do basically with the $1,800 raffles? Okay, and one would think that, well, yeah, I mean, you paid for it, you want it, it's yours, Cory should send those. And basically what happens is that later on, that you're going to find out, is that Cory decided to not only keep the 1750 layaway deposit, but also Cory decided to keep the winnings of the side raffles and then sell all the stuff that Mark has put down on layaway. So now Cory is not only gonna keep the 1750 money, but Cory is selling all the stuff that Mark had on layaway. So he's gonna get basically 100% of his money back. And now he's gonna sell the winnings of the raffle, which is gonna be 100+% of profit. And how is that not considered scamming? Like, what the fuck is going on here? This is trying to have his cake and eat it too. So let's continue on. Here's the next one from Mark here. It says here, I ask, what was the agreement for the payments? Is it a once a week? Is it a month? And how much? And then I write, and in technicality, if you paid a raffle spot and won, then that belt is paid off. It's paid off. So Mark replies back, every 2 weeks. So now we're finding out, okay, Mark is supposed to pay Cory something every 2 weeks. All right, cool. Well, how much every 2 weeks? I put, And then Mark says, as much as I can pay every 2 weeks. And I'll admit it. There was a couple of times where I didn't pay because I wasn't able to pay. That's what Mark's telling me. Okay, so now we just found out that they agreed to pay something every 2 weeks, as much as he can pay. Here's the next one here. I see. Was there a discussion of the rules? Like if you start missing payments, what's going to happen? He says, no, not until yesterday. So basically not until things blew up. And then once he cut him off and he said he was keeping his layaway money, he was keeping his belts that was being held that he put for layaway, and he was keeping the winnings of the raffles. That's when this thing happened. That's when Cory said, I'm keeping everything, basically. So not until yesterday, I said, what was the rule? So Mark says now he is saying that he wants to close and cancel the debt, so he is going to keep everything and sell it to pay for the $1,800, which he owed, which I think is unfair because I paid $1,300 plus in cash and have traded a related US for credit towards the debt, and I get nothing. This guy has legitimate reason. I mean, this guy has a reason. So I said, this is what I wrote to Cory after hearing what Mark had to say. At this time, I've already been reaching out to Cory, in which I'm going to show you his side of the story. But this is what I wrote to Cory. I put, according to him, meaning according to Mark, he's paid $1,300 plus towards the layaway. I go, not a loan, because a loan you would have to give him product. Your video, you mentioned comparing, it's like missing payments towards a house mortgage or a car that will be repossessed. And again, that's not the same as to what's happening here. This situation is more of a layaway plan, if anything. So basically Cory did a video in his bout group, explaining on why he's going to keep everything and he's not going to send Mark anything. So Cory is saying that this was a loan, that I loaned him, and it's not technically a loan, it's more of a layaway plan. A loan is you have to give something, like I said. And he used an example of making mortgage payment to a house or a car. Well, here's the thing, Mark never got the house or a car, so that's not a loan. It's more of a layaway plan. So now I put, here's my take on it, and it would be best option for the both of you. I know Mark has a bad reputation, a hobby. However, you can't just keep his money that he's put down as a deposit or layaway when he wasn't physically received, when he hasn't physically received $1,300 plus of products. By you keeping the money and products makes you a scammer. You will eventually sell his products. Here's the next page. I'm being transparent here. You will eventually sell his products that you are holding for him and get that money back. So you will get the $3,500 or $3,700, balance that Mark had, plus the $1,300. Now I did a mistake right here, which later I'm going to show you that I corrected. So what I meant here says when I wrote you will get the $3,500 to $3,700 plus the $1,300, I meant to write you will get the $1,800, meaning the amount that that Mark owes Cory, plus the $1,300 of the deposit / layaway. Again, not a loan. What needs to be done is first deduct the raffle wins and losses per slot, the $8 or $12 a slot, or whatever it is that he paid per losing and winning out of the deposits. So deduct that first, the winning and losings of the raffle the money's deducted out of the balance first. Okay, that's what I'm telling Cory to do, what I think he should do. Deposit as he's paid you so far, then ship him the winning products because it's already paid for. And I put also the value of the winning product does not get deducted from the deposit because that is technically paid off. Now, whatever money is left after that, you can either send him whatever products that's equal value to the remaining balance and then sell the products that was not covered with the deposit, and that will settle this. Or you keep, let's say, $100 out of the remaining deposit as a fee for putting you through this crap. And here's the next page here. For putting you through this crap, and the remaining balance after send the value of products to him, settling the situation. Again, you're planning on keeping his deposit and not sending the value of products to him is considered a scam. That is considered a scam. Then I put, let's see, I write down here, he wrote back. Then, so I told Mark that that's what I wrote to Cory. And then I put a screenshot of Cory replying back to me. And it says he wrote back. So what Cory wrote back was, so the whole amount is raffle spots. He wanted to buy belts from me, but then won them, so that money was already deducted. But it's all settled. He's talking to Charles, and he would have it paid off. I'm not scamming anyone. He racked up a bill with losing events as well. Thank you for your input. So Mark replies back to me, but I have the message where he says that the belts were paid for, and he shows me a screenshot of evidence where it does show that the belts that he's won from the raffles, those were already paid for. And then Mark writes, that's the only thing I was pissed about you can see that we both agree on that. But then he said that he didn't agree on that. So then I put, well, how many balances you have with him? Then Mark says this was all one balance. So here's the screenshot. You can't see it now, but later on I'm gonna go ahead and show it to you guys. Let me see. Oh, here it is right here. So, this is a screenshot between Cory and Mark. Okay, so Mark says, never mind, I figured it out. Cory says, were you asking about the odd amount? LOL, because I was trying to figure it out also for a second. And then Mark says, yeah, I thought it was 2608 with 128 and 105 added to the 2375 balance. Now Cory says, we were at 2758 after the other day, and you just added $30. I can go back further. So Mark says, no, I remember now. I'm just seeing it. So Cory now says, so the 2388 owed, and you got the IC belts in your pile. Now here's the important part. Mark says, okay, so all the belts I'm getting are paid for now. I just have to pay off the remaining stuff I have. And Cory says, yes, but you have the hefty bill from joining all of the events, LOL. So this part that's circled here, this is the part where basically Mark is letting Cory know, well, aside from what is going on, all the belts are paid off, meaning the belts from the raffles that he did on the side, not from the $1,800 balance that he owed. Remember, they agreed on a side deal, which was Mark would give money to Cory for raffle slots on the side. And if Mark lost some raffles, then that money that he gave to Cory, Cory gets to pocket it. Does not go to the $1,800 balance. And the winnings, it's the same thing. The winnings. Mark won some raffles on the side. So since he won some raffles on the side, this is the part where a few messages before, shouldn't Mark be able to receive the winnings since it's not part of the balance that he owed, the $1,800 balance? Mark should be able to receive the winnings. And Cory says that he's going to keep everything. So, like, if you guys are not seeing that, then there's something wrong with you guys. He is scamming. They had a side deal at this point. They had a side deal. And Cory just said, yes, but you have the hefty bill from joining all the other events. So meaning, well, yeah, your stuff is paid off. The raffle, the belts paid off, and, those are yours. But you still have this $1,800 balance that you owe me. So meaning, like, he's not going to send him the belts until he pays off the $1,800 balance, which is not fair because that has nothing to do with the $1,800 balance. That was a side deal. That's what's being explained. That was one of the problems that Mark has, and Cory is trying to keep everything, including that, and that's not fair. Here's the next page. All right, so I said, well, how many balances do you have with him? So Mark says this was all one balance only, meaning he only owes Cory the $1,800 balance. The stuff that's happening is on the side, so it's already paid off. He paid him the money. He lost some raffles, so Cory gets to pocket the losses, not adding to any kind of balance. And then he's won the raffles prizes, so Cory should be able to send him those raffles, the winnings, and he's not. He said he's not going to. Not going to do that because he needs to pay off the $1,800 balance. All right, so I says, who's Charles? Yeah, Mark says, is this guy in his group? Charles is a guy in the group that we have to communicate with each other through because Cory blocked me. I said, oh, wow. And I said, what deal did you make with Charles? And Mark says, well, the deal is unfair, but it was that I was going to finish paying off the debt, meaning the $1,800, so I'm not scammed by Cory. And so I could get the belts that I had already paid off for, meaning the side raffle winnings, and just move on from this headache. Because he isn't just gonna give me the belts or any money back or anything, because he has already said that he isn't gonna give me anything back except for what was left over after he raffled off everything and got the money for it. So, once he pays off everything, he pays off the belts and all that. I mean, come on now. How's that gonna happen? All right, so let's see here. This is what Mark said, because honestly, all I really truthfully owed left on the debt was $2,300 for the side plates and previous raffle spots where I didn't win anything. And before I paid for, let's see here. And before I paid for the ones where I won the belts, but he is keeping the side plates and selling those off, which I'm not mad about. Okay, go ahead and do that because those aren't paid for. And so that brought it down to $1,800, which is the only for the spots from the previous losing raffles where I lost that weren't paid for yet. So this is the next page here. And honestly, it's technically more than $1,300 because I also traded Re-Leather US for $450 in credit towards the debt, which totals the $1,750. But he isn't going to do the right thing, and he thinks he hasn't done anything wrong. So I'm just going to try to come up with the $1,800 so I can just get the belts I already paid for. So during this time, I'm communicating with Cory, going back and forth. And then I write back to Mark. Says he's not changing his mind. Mark says, I know he isn't going to, because he just wants the money in his pocket, but thanks for trying. And the part that I'm pissed about is that he's tried to bring my wife into it by asking her about our finances. I says, whoa. He wrote, yeah, thanks for trying though. And then I give him a thumbs up. But this case, obviously, it's not over. I'm still in contact with Cory. And here's the conversation between me and Cory now, getting his side of the thing. So I put, hey, bud, Mark reached out to me about you allegedly scamming him. I would like to get your side of the story. I seen your video, and basically you plan on keeping the money he has already given you, plus keeping his products, right? And so Cory replies back to what I said. All right, so here we go. Mark knows what he's doing. Mark runs a tab with me. Well, he did in the past for raffle spots. Mark goes really hard on raffles and spends $1,400 to $600. Correction. Mark goes really hard on raffles and he spends $400 to $600 on one event. He won the event, so I told him that he needed to be paid. In order for him to ship the stuff out. I think he means he won the event, so I told him that he needed to pay me in order for me to ship the stuff out. I think that's what he meant. He continued his tab, but new things weren't getting shipped till it was paid. Okay, so according to Cory, things weren't going to get shipped until his balance was paid off. All right. Well, he went as high as $3,500 or $3,700. So I think it was $3,500. That's what Mark says. So we'll keep it as, let's make an agreement of $3,500. He told me in August, where he keeps pulling screenshots of me saying that things were paid for, that within the first 2 weeks of September, I would be paid in full. That day came and went. So apparently, according to Cory, Mark was supposed to pay off this balance in September, the $1,800 balance in September. The first 2 weeks of September. That day came and went. I even shipped him something early because it was his anniversary, and I made him a member of the month in my group in September. Okay, so this is what Cory's saying. Next page here. He didn't pay me in full and said some excuse about not getting his check, or cancer, or his daughter was sick. Can't remember which other thing happened besides his check. Then he gave me a layout of when he was going to pay and how much. Those dates came and went without paying. I would have to reach out to him to remind him, and then he would say some other excuse. Or he tried paying me and it didn't work. Then he would tell me that he was sending me $600, but then would only send me $200 or nothing. Well, he then told me that he was paying me on December the 4th, December 18th, and January 4th. December the 4th, here comes the next page, came, but he said that he needed that check for Christmas presents, but then asked if I could sell his wife a spinner that she could give him for Christmas. I said no. Then the blow up happened because he said that he would send me $1,000 on the 18th. I had to message him. He said by noon. Noon came and went. 4 p.m. came and he said he was sending it right now, But then his Venmo didn't work. Then he said his wife was giving him $350, but he was sending $1,350 to me on the 19th, and I received nothing. He is going to show screenshots of payments sent to me. He's paid something towards his debt. He thinks the belts are paid off because he's given me money for that event. Next page. But he's also run up a tab on events he's lost. On events that he's lost, but he's not understanding. It doesn't matter where you think the money goes. He owes on a debt that he has not paid when he said he was going to pay. So they're talking about the side deal that was made. They're talking about the side deal because he says here he thinks the belts are paid off because he's giving me the money for that event, the raffle event. So this was a side deal. Mark gave Cory the money for raffle slots and he won. But then it says, but he's also run up a tab on the events that he's lost, meaning the $1,800 balance that Mark still owes Cory. But he's not understanding it doesn't matter where you think that the money goes. He owes on a debt that he has not paid when he said he was going to pay. So basically, that's pretty much meaning what? I ain't sending you the belts that you won on the side deal until you pay my $1,800 balance first. That's what pretty much is being said without saying it. Come on. I'm losing out on money because I had not added anything to his tab because he was cut off. So he essentially is getting an interest-free loan from me. Again, not a loan, it's more of a layaway plan. There is no interest in a layaway plan. I've given him time and time again to pay the tab. True. And it's on dates that he has told me. True. Only for that day to come, and he doesn't have the money. So here's the flakiness of the unethical business of Mark Lonsdale. I've been very patient and very understanding of his situation, but enough is enough. And he has been very impatient. I agree with that part, with that statement, not with what he is planning to do and just keeping everything. That I do not agree with. Next page. Even now, he told me his wife was giving him $350 to put towards it. But that money is magically gone. And when I said I need the payment, he told me about by Sunday. Now no money was being sent to me till at least next Thursday. So there you go again, the flakiness of Mark. So I wrote, this is the part where I told Mark, well, this is what I wrote to Cory. And here we go again. I said, I don't know if I showed this page or not, but here it is. So I wrote to Cory. I go, according to him, he's paid $1,300 plus towards a layaway, not loan, because a loan you would have to give him the product. Your video, you mentioned comparing this like missing payments towards a house mortgage or a car that would be repossessed. And again, that's not the same as to what's happening here in this situation. It's more of a layaway plan, if anything. Here's my take on it, and it would be best option for the both of you. I know Mark has a bad reputation. In the next page, in the hobby. However, you can't just keep his money that he's put down as a deposit or layaway when he hasn't physically received $1,300+ of products. By you keeping the money and products makes you a scammer. You will eventually sell his products that you will eventually sell his products that you that you are holding for him and get that money back. So you will get the, again, this is where I made the mistake of 3,500 to 1,700. You will get that 3,500 to 1,700 plus the 1,300 plus. I meant you will get the 1,800, the money that he owed, plus the 1,300 of the deposit or layaway. Again, not alone. What needs to be done is first deduct the raffle wins and loss per slot, the $8-12 a slot, or whatever it is that he paid per losing and winning out of the deposit he's paid you so far. Then ship him the winning products because it's already paid for. Next page. It's already paid for. Paid for. Also, the value of the one product does not get deducted from the deposit because that is technically paid off. Here's the next page. Now, whatever money is left after whatever money is left after, you can either send him whatever products that's equal value to the remaining balance and sell the products that was not covered with the deposit, and that will settle this. Or you keep, let's say, $100 out of the remaining deposit as a fee for putting you through this crap, and the remaining balance after send the value of products to him, settling the situation. Again, your plan on keeping his deposit and not sending the value of products to him is considered a scam. I don't know how is it that you guys are not seeing that? It's a scam. So Cory says, so the whole amount is raffle spots. He wanted to buy belts from me, but then won them. So that money was already deducted. So meaning this is the side deal again. Has nothing to do with the $1,800 balance. But it's all settled. He's talking to Charles and he will have it paid off. I'm not scamming anyone. He racked up a something. Let me see here. Maybe the next page. He racked up I can't read it. A something with losing events as well. A bill. I think he racked up a bill with losing events as well, meaning the $1,800 balance. Thank you for your input. So I wrote back, so when, this is the next page. So when will you be shipping his winning raffle products? Cory says, he'll tell you, it's all worked out. And I says, well, did you block Mark? Then Cory says, talk to him. It's all worked out. So here, he's not answering my questions now. This is the part where I have many other questions, and he's now being, uncooperative with the case, which is fine, which I will explain a little bit right now. Did you block Mark? Talk to him. It's all worked out. I don't know who you are, so I put I'm the creator of Bout's Most Wanted Scammers. The next page. And I am conducting an investigation. And he puts on, when no scamming is happening, he's talking to my moderator. He can tell you all the details that are worked out. And I put, you're not obligated to cooperate with me. However, you are being accused of scamming. You told me your side of the story, and that's all I really need at this point. Because now he's becoming, resistant. Talk to my moderator, talk to him, talk. He's pretty much done talking to me. So Cory says he's paying me off January 1st, is what he told Charles. So now this is the new deal. This is already after I already got the results of the voting, which I will show him in a little bit. This is already after. So this wasn't before, guys. This is already after. So the new deal now is that Mark told Cory, give me till January 1st to pay off the $1,800. And basically, if he fails payment, Cory's going to keep everything. That's the new deal at this point in time. This happened in December. So keep that in mind. Had Cory and Mark made that deal back in August or in September or before the case was brought to me, had that right there been said a while back, before Mark contacted me, none of this would have happened. It would have been case closed. Mark, you agreed to Cory that you're going to pay him your $1,800 balance at this time. And if you failed, Cory's going to keep all your money. He's going to keep all the belts that you want, all your products, and all the shit that you paid for. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. That didn't happen. This is what you guys need to understand. That deal was not made until now in December, when shit already hit the fan, when the voting system was already done, when I was already making a file for Cory. Just because a deal now is done, okay, that's it. Yeah, he's not a scammer no more. No, you're forgetting of what happened between August till December, all in between. Cory is scamming Mark, all in between. Y'all don't understand that. All right, so he's paying me off January 1st, is what he told Charles. I put a thumbs up because, well, now there's a deal. Now there's a repercussion. You can touch base with him if he's going to pay. Or is the next page right here? So I put Charles not answering. So Charles basically ignored all my messages. Charles not answering. Mike has to the end of the year to pay $1,800. Well, what happens if he doesn't? So at this point, Cory hasn't told me about it, but Mark already told me. So what happens if he doesn't pay the $1,800? I want to hear it out of Cory's mouth. So Charles says he will message you. Charles will message you, but Mark just posted in a scammer. Mark just posted in a scammer. That's not cool. I guess your investigation ended with that post. So what Mark did here, what he means is that Mark made a post at Bell Group about that, Cory is scamming him, and of course, Mark ended up getting shitting on by the guys over there, and whatnot. So that didn't really work out for Mark. That's what this guy means, Cory. So next page, I put that's not my group. I go, clearly he's upset because you're not giving him the property / funds that he put as layaway plus raffle winnings. Then Cory says, but him and I worked out a deal. Then I put, giving him 2 weeks to pay $1,800 is a deal. And like I said, what happens if he doesn't, meaning if he doesn't pay the $1,800? So Cory says, this is what I was sent last night. I guess Mark sent him a screenshot, or Cory sent me a screenshot, a conversation between Mark and Cory, and basically all in a nutshell of that screenshot was Mark agreeing, I'll pay the $1,800 before the 1st, and basically if I don't, you get to keep everything. So that was the deal that Mark made, and that's how it stood. So this was the next page. Okay, so Cory says, I didn't make this deal. He made it, which he did. And I'll vouch for that on that screenshot. But he went ahead and is now posting that I'm a scammer when he made that deal, not me. So I showed Cory a screenshot of between me and Mark where I said, did he say what happens if you don't pay the $1,800 before the year ends? Mark says, yeah, he keeps everything and I'm out of everything. I have already said, and I'm out of everything I have already sent and the belts, meaning he's out of everything. Cory put the thumbs up to my screenshot. Next page. Cory's question: didn't you post about Mark not too long ago, calling him a scammer when he was buying and selling belts he didn't own when he got booted from all those groups? And I answered back to Cory. I says, he has a file as a be on the lookout, not a scammer, but just someone to watch out for. Here's the thing, I'm not biased. Even if a scammer / bolo reports to me that someone is scamming them, I need to put my differences aside and be fair. This is what you guys don't understand. Just because one was already labeled a scammer or a bolo and they come to me and says, hey, I'm being scammed, or so-and-so is being scammed, check it out. I'm gonna check it out. And I'm gonna put the differences aside. And I'm going to go and conduct an investigation, because I cannot be biased. I cannot be unfair. So some of you have a problem with that. And then you guys need to think about that. I won't run a belt scam group. If I am biased and say, you know what, you have a history of scamming, fuck you, get your, someone's scamming you, well, good. That's what you get. Now fuck off, they'll come up to me, then there will be bias and favoritism there. I got to put that off to the side. That's what you guys need to understand. I need to be fair with everybody that comes to me for some kind of help. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. All right, he has a file as a be on the lookout, not a scammer, but just because someone, not a scammer, but just someone to watch out for. Here's the thing, I'm not biased. Even if a scammer or bolo reports to me that someone is scamming them, I need to put my differences aside and be fair. I've been scammed 3 times in a year, and that's why I created my group. I hate scammers, and I made it my priority to put them on blast. Even when a scammer is reporting another scammer, even when a scammer is reporting another scammer, I cannot let that get in my way. This is the next page. So I'm letting Cory know that I'm not a biased guy. I'm a fair guy, regardless of the background of the reporting party or victim or whatever, or suspect. I've been scammed plenty, so I understand. That's what Cory's telling me. So we agreed on a deal. Now he's changing his mind. So I don't know what to do. Cory continues, but all things aside, I don't think you really have a grasp of the whole story, because the way he's explaining it to me makes 0 sense to what is going on. I'm going to try to get on a desktop so I can go further than September in messages to put everything together, but he didn't buy anything off of me. It's all raffle wins and losses. So that's what Cory is telling me, saying basically nothing's making sense, but yet he has the opportunity to provide proof and evidence. He hasn't done so at all. He says here that he's going to go back in his laptop to show me, I guess, evidence, but he never does. Can I either Facebook call you later or do voice memos instead of typing everything on? I said voice or message here. This was the last. This was the new page here, the next page. Okay, I says voice or message here. Then I said, you say he didn't buy anything from you and that it's all raffle wins and losses, then ship him the winning items since he paid and won for it. Deduct the leftover money from the losses, and whatever is left, either refund him and take like $100 for your troubles, or put the rest of the money to pay off things send those items and take $100 fee for your troubles. At this point, if you keep the money he has deposited to you, if he fails to pay you the $1,800 by the end of this year, you're still considered a scammer because you didn't send anything to him when this first started months ago, when this first started months ago. On this part, if I'm gonna go back on this thing, if Mark does not pay the $1,800 by the end of the year, this is in December, that Cory will still be considered as a scammer because he didn't send him anything when this whole thing first started months and months and months ago. So in other words, it's really not a whole lot's going to happen because Cory is being called out on being a scammer for what he did when this thing happened in August till December before it blew up out of proportion. All those months there, like I said earlier. So at this point, really, it doesn't matter whether Cory or whether Mark pays Cory the money or not. He's still going to be a scammer. But what I could do is that if Mark happens to pay Cory the money and they fix things, then I can go back and reduce Cory's title from scammer alert to just be on the lookout. But that is not going to cause me to delete Cory's file. He's locked in, and he's locked in because he was going to keep everything and not give Mark nothing back, even though that was not an agreement. An agreement was not made for that until way at the end later when shit got to me and put fire under his ass. Now there's an agreement, like I told him that they should have made. Now there is an agreement all of a sudden. So, next page here. Okay. Cory says he spent that much on raffles. I think you need to investigate more. Well, what am I trying to do? You ain't giving me a whole lot here, homie. Oh, and he just sent me an apology after calling me a scammer on that page and deleting his post because everyone called him a scammer. Well, that's the thing when you have that kind of reputation. You know, when you have that kind of reputation, yeah, a lot of people are just not going to hear you. They're just going to shut off their ears and not want to hear you because you have a bad rep, Mark. So there goes that. And then I wrote down, and you keep saying that he's spending all on towards raffles. Then why didn't you send him the winnings? Then Cory says, because he had a tab from spending the money on the raffles, meaning the $1,800. So here we go again. We're going in circles here. Cory says there's a message in there where he says that the bouts are paid. I just owe on the other stuff. But beforehand, he didn't send you the convo about items not being sent till the tab was clear. So apparently this convo that doesn't exist. Cory doesn't send proof on that. And it happened, meaning that supposedly that there was some kind of a, let me see here. There's a message in there that he says that the bouts are paid. I just owe on the other stuff. But beforehand, he didn't send you the convo about the items not being sent till the tab was clear. Basically, that Cory was not going to send him shit until Mark pays him the $1,800 balance. That's what he's trying to say. But nonetheless, you know, did Cory send me that? I don't think so. Well, we're going through it right now. I don't remember that, but we'll see. Till the tab was cleared, because him and I go further back than June, and this was discussed on a different scenario. Mark has won a lot of stuff from me, but he just apologized to me. So I wrote, when you first let him start, this is the important thing. Here we go. When you first let him start, oh, this is the next page. I'll show you guys. When you first let him start the tab, aka the layaway, was there an agreement that if he stops making payments, that you are going to cut him off and keep everything? Cory doesn't answer that question. So I hit him up hours and hours later with a bunch of question marks. No reply. He's not answering that. He ain't answering that. So therefore, that means what? No. There was no agreement on that. So hours go by, it went by, no more. There's ghosting. Cory ain't answering me no more. Done deal. I got what I had that was presented to me. Supposedly that he made a deal with Mark that, you know what, I'm not saying you shit until you pay off my money. That really wasn't proven. But regardless, let's say if that was true, Cory still should have sent Mark the raffle winnings. That was the side deal that had nothing to do with the $1,800 balance. He still should have sent the raffles, the winnings, because he paid them on the side. Had nothing to do with the $1,800 balance. And he said, no, I'm not sending you shit until you pay me the $1,800 balance. That was not the deal. A deal was not made of that. Y'all ain't getting that. All right, so this is where I let Cory know the bad news. Well, I did a vote on my poll. I did a vote poll in my group. I didn't mention your name or Mark's or the actual numbers of the 1,800 and the numbers that are the real numbers. So I didn't mention your name or Mark's or actual numbers due to eliminate bias, eliminate the biasm and the favoritism, basically, to eliminate bias voting. But I did a scenario that's pretty much what you and Mark has told me, and I gave it 24 hours for the members to vote, and I showed them the results. Basically, 65% voted that Cory is a scammer, and 35% voted that Cory is not a scammer. So, I mean, it's a done deal. Those of you guys that have an open mind, common sense, are the 65%. I mean, and those of you 5 guys that had a problem with it, you guys are just like this. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to see it. Don't want to hear. Don't want to see, hear. You just don't want it. And you just, no, Cory's good. He's a good guy, and that's it. No, that's not the way it works. Sorry. It's not the way it works. All right, so I said I had to do a bottom line story because I had to do a bottom line long story short, because when you do a poll, they only give you 500 characters or slots. So I had a lot more to it, but I had to keep downsizing, chopping until finally it was acceptable. So again, the poll that I did and what I wrote was pretty much the bottom line important piece, not all this other crap that went with it. But I already explained onto the file that I did for Cory, but that was just too much shit, so I had to trim the fat and put what really mattered as the vote and keep names out to avoid bias or favoritism. All right, so here's the next page after when I showed this guy the results. So now Cory writes back, you don't stop, dude. It's all worked out. Thanks for the input. I put, as you can see, lots of people see you as a scammer. Cory says, he should have messaged you last night. Okay, it's not. So Cory says, okay, it's not explained correctly, but you do you. Mark posted about me being a scammer and got blasted, and then deleted his post and apologized to me. So speak to him. So please talk to him. That has nothing to do with what's happening in my group. Whatever happened in Baltog happened over there. I don't care what happened over there. That's not my group. So I wrote back to Cory. I go, Charles never, basically, says, Charles never did. You keep referring me to Charles. Oh, Charles never did. I put, Charles never did. You keep referring me to Charles, and based on what you and Mark has told me, this is how it played out. So, with all the evidence and statements of what Mark and Cory told me, this is the outcome of it. Okay, so I wrote back to Cory. I think this is, I don't know if I showed this. This is the next page here. Mark told me that if you don't pay $1,800 before the year, then you're going to keep everything right. And then Cory says, talk to him. Go ahead, message him. I'm going to go spend time with my family. And that's it. That was end of Cory. I put a thumbs up. And so I hit up Charles. During this time, I also hit up Charles, TUEL. I put, hey, bud. Cory said to talk to you about Mike. What's the final deal for Mike? Question mark, and then nothing. As you can see here, Charles, TUEL, decided to just simply ignore any questions that I had, so I couldn't get nothing out of him either. So, again, you know, this is more of the blow up poll that I did for those of you guys that are not part of Bout's Most Wanted Scammers. And you can see down here, there's more votes on scammers than not a scammer. Here, that was given 24 hours. Basically, I'm going to read what I wrote. This is everything in a nutshell, because I only have 500 characters or slots to do this. So I put customer ran a tab of $2,000. I'm not using names or real numbers. So here we go. Customer ran a tab of $2,000, or I could have put, you know, the real number. It doesn't matter, but I kept it like that. Customer ran a tab of $2,000 for belts and raffle slots. Customer starts missing payments until it becomes constant as months go by, and paid $1,000 out of the $2,000. Okay, so the balance was, the tab was $3,500. Customer pays $1,750. So now he owes the $1,800 basically. Belt sellers gets tired of excuses, missed payments, and cut off the customer by telling the customer that the seller, meaning Cory, is going to keep the $1,000, aka $1,800. Sell the belts that the seller, Cory, was holding, and keep the funds from the sales. So far, that's what's happening. That's what happened. Customer, Mark, never got $1,000 of the belts, meaning the $1,750 that he had paid, plus the items that the customer, Mark, has won in raffles. Is the seller, Cory, a scammer or not a scammer? So it's all there in a nutshell. There's really no details that are missing. And it's a non-biased type of way where we got clearly 65% is they found Cory as a scammer, and 35% not a scammer. Now, on the thread of this voting, when I was doing the vote, when it has not closed down, someone already mentioned their real names on the thread anyway. So people started to see what this was referring to. So people already knew that it was about Cory and Mark anyway. So on the thread, someone put their names. They even put down Mark's be on the lookout file on there and all that. So, but one thing for sure is, when I need to be fair, I gotta be fair across the board, even if it's for someone that has a fucked up reputation. I need to, because I cannot be biased. If I'm biased, then my group is worth shit. Is what you guys need to understand. I'm being fair across the board. I have to be fair, whether I like it or not. Well, that was the end of that. Now, there's other stuff that I did not have screenshots of because I left. It was a chat between after when this thing hit the fan, after when Cory seen that he had a file, he has a file on Bout's Most Wanted Scammers. Cory tagged me with the moderator, the guy that was just did not answer me at all. What's this dude's name? Charles. So Cory tagged me with Charles, and I think Mark were on the group chat. And of course, Cory and Charles are just going off, take it down, and saying all kinds of things. Charles becoming a studio gangster, making threats towards me, take it off or else, or some shit like that. Basically, it was a verbal threat that he did on me, and just talking shit, basically saying, he's not a scammer. A deal was already made. Take it down. A deal was already made. Well, the deal was made to the end. That's what I need you guys to see, is that this thing was already taking place from August to December before it blew up. The scam was being conducted. And it was to the point where Mark had to reach out to me and say, hey, this dude's keeping all my shit. It's a done deal. He's keeping all my shit. He's gonna sell my shit, keeping the money from the stuff that he sells. He's keeping my raffle winnings, and he's keeping my $17.50 deposit. I need help. Until that point on, till the end, finally agreed to a deal where if Mark were to miss payments, then Cory gets to keep, or if Mark doesn't pay January 1st, then Cory gets to keep the money and the items. That deal was made to the end. That's what you guys are not understanding. You guys are not getting that. I wish you guys can have an open mind, you 5 guys, and see that part. But and anybody else that has an issue with how this thing worked out. So, but anyhow, all right, guys. Well, that was the dissection of this case. So, the bottom line part: Cory agreed to have Mark do a layaway plan, and an agreement was made that Mark would pay whatever he can every 2 weeks. This is the final lowdown, right? So the balance went up to $3,500 to $3,700 back in August. This whole thing started in August. Mark racked up a balance, $3,500 to $3,700. Mark agreed to pay that off in September, the first 2 weeks of September. That came and gone. It didn't happen. Okay. Mark paid $1,300 plus gave Cory a re-leathered U.S. belt that's worth $450. So that's a total of $1,750 towards the $3,500 balance, which knocked it down to $1,800 that Mark owed. That is all agreed. Let's see here. Mark obviously started missing payments for weeks and weeks, excuses after excuses. Things are happening, I guess, and Cory had to cut off Mark. So you know what? You're not gonna add no more to the balance. I'm cutting you off, and at the same time, let him know that I'm gonna keep all your stuff. I'm gonna keep your money. I'm gonna sell your stuff, and I'm gonna keep the money that I'm selling. How does that work? That was not part of the deal. So when that was happened, or before that part happened, Mark and Cory agreed for Mark to give Cory cash on the side of the deposit for raffles. Cory paid Mark money. Mark won raffles. Cory decided, well, I'm not going to mail you these belts because you still owe me $1,800 on the outstanding balance. So you ain't getting no belts from here until you pay $1,800. And that was another issue that Mark had. He already paid Cory the money. Cory should have sent those belts to Mark. That had nothing to do with the $1,800 owed. But Cory decided to become a dick and say, no, I'm not sending you these belts. Yeah, you won them and they're paid off. You guys see the message. Well, Cory agreed that they were paid off. But I'm not sending you these belts until you pay what you owe me. Then you'll get it. That's a scam. Sorry, that's a scam. Can't do that. Cannot do that. So, what happened ultimately, right? Cory decided to say he had enough. Fuck this. He's not paying me no more. I'm going to keep your $1,800. I'm going to keep your raffle winnings. I'm going to keep all the belts that you put on layaway that I'm holding. I'm selling all the belts that you put on layaway and holding, and I'm going to keep that money. So, meaning he's going to get 100% back because he never mailed it out to Mark. So now he's getting 100% back of the money. He's keeping the $1,800 deposit. So now 100% out of the items that he sold. Now he's keeping $1,800 on top of that. And then he has the belts that he's going to sell for the raffles that he won. Like, what the fuck? Dude, this dude is out of his fucking mind? How can you say that a scam is not being committed? Hello? So that was everything. That was a dissection of the Cory versus Mark. And that's all there is to it, man. So be safe out there, you guys. If you're not a member of Belts Most Wanted Scammers, become a member. Watch out for scammers. Watch out for Be on the Lookouts. The list is being uploaded on a daily. And be safe out there. Catch you guys later.